Let's get ready to throw down!
What's up, everybody? What is up, everybody? Good Lord. We are back, and we're hopping right back into where we ended last time. Clint was telling a story, very important phone call, and he was trying to be very deliberate, is the word I'm going to use in his framing.
Yeah, that's true. Because of some embarrassment that we had, and it kind of threw me out of my normal process. I wanted to get. I felt like I needed to be at this certain professional level that is completely head trash in my own mind, that I had to get to this certain, extra professional level to get these answers and take care of these people and figure out what the hell went wrong. And, I went down the path of setting up that very textbook, that framework, right? That, hey, do you have 30 minutes to talk about this issue that we seem to have between the two of us? And I'd like to, not only for just, my own benefit, but maybe also for yours. And, it got so far outside of my normal speech patterns that it was almost embarrassing, right? And I could tell that everything that I was saying was just falling on deaf ears. And I actually just I had to interrupt myself and just say, hey, look, guys, bottom line is we screwed up. We know we did. We'd like to get to the bottom of this situation. And look, people screw up all the time, and we own it, and we're going to do whatever it takes to get it done right. And we'd like to hear your side of it, just so we don't, we'd like to see where you stand at it. And for me to back up, right, and do that, broke that pattern of that textbook thing. So, and what we were talking about, the reason I brought that story up is because you can do that in storytelling and framework. You can get so textbook that it's so unnatural that it throws everybody off. It throws the guy sitting across the room from you out of his world. And he's like, what the, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. I got 20 minutes. I don't know. I've never been asked that question before. You can do things that throw people off so bad that just ask the freaking question, like if you really need to know, and make sure you ask questions that you truly need to know. Don't ask questions just to be stupid. Yeah. But the textbooks out there, guys, will tell you to do that, right?
Oh,
and
but like you get why though, right? I mean,
that's
they're
what I'm
trying to. Sorry, I cut you off. I apologize.
Yeah, so there is a reason why they do that, but most people out there that I'm hearing and seeing, and even some salespeople that I've worked with in the past, look at it as law, and they follow it to a T. And it is absolutely anything but that. It is an idea. It is another way to do something. It is framework for your own self. But guys, you can't follow this stuff to a T. And I think that's where I I took all the knowledge that I could take from sales training, and I knew that, hey, I have all the parts and pieces here, right? It's like having 5,000 laws, and there's no consequences for any of them. So we want to add 5,001 and 5,002 and 5,003. Well, guys, you only needed 3 of the damn things. You just got to follow them, and you got to do those things right. And you won't need all these laws and these written rules. So it's just a caution. It happens to me all the time. I fall into my own trap. And so I just caution you. That's all.
Well, I think that it, in my mind's eye, I compare it to having an outline versus having a script, right? And if I know, or, I have a roadmap, but then I also have that building that I see, and then, so how am I going to get there? Am I going to put my nose in the map? Well, it's kind of hard to drive and do that at the same time. That gets a little, hard to do. Whereas if I look down and I see the pathway to get to the point that I need to be, like in my phone, Nate and I go round and round about this, right? I want to see where the blue line goes, right? And then I know the lay of the land at that point, right? It's given me the best route. Now I'm looking for the on-ramp that I'm used to, but there may be a semi-truck turned over like there was the other day. And then I got to decide, well, should I exit? Yeah. So again, it's this constant, I go as far as I can see, and then I see how to go further. So if it's a conversation with John, it's listening to John's feedback it's doing my antics or whatever comes natural to me. But along the way, I know where the goalpost is, right? So why do I have to be so worried about every hashtag line that comes past me as I'm running towards the end zone? That's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on not getting tackled between here and the end zone. So what are you looking at, right? Are you looking at your feet or are you looking at the horizon, right? My feet are going to do what they naturally need to do to get to the goal. Mm-hmm. Why not approach it from that aspect? I mean, that's just me, right? I'm not suggesting that it works for everybody.
Oh, so you gotta look at the fly.
Hey, Clint, watch your mic. It keeps I think hitting your jacket, and there's a lot of side. Yeah, that noise right there. There you go.
No, it's dragging on his puka beads that are hanging around his neck. He's got a little beatnik look going on there. That's what I'm talking about.
So here's the thing, guys. I thought I wasn't doing those things. I thought that I was being in the moment and not using these, or not hiding behind these techniques and just checking the boxes. I really thought that I was doing it the right way. And then you hit this other level of cognition or reps or awareness or whatever. And then it's oh, I was still using these things as techniques as opposed to really just trying to be on the level with the prospect of hey, what are you really trying to do here? Right. And so, I think you just get to that point, right, of, oh, I can do these things without thinking about them. But that only happens when you're put into those situations. And I wasn't allowing myself to put myself into those spots, if that makes sense.
But are you allowing yourself now to be put in those spots?
No, yeah. And, it's significantly changing, right? Because, it's weird because we know this to be true. I'm more confident of just being okay, cool. You don't need this, based on a really quick conversation and then moving through. And, it's the outside examples, which are more interesting, right? In my interactions with friends and stuff like that.
Let me stop you though. You said something interesting there. You said that you're telling them that they don't need what you have, but how can you be absolutely sure without asking the question of, hey, John, sounds like this may not be a fit, or I'm getting the sense that maybe this isn't what you need, but that doesn't mean they don't still have a problem, right?
Sure.
That you need to right? So don't give up on the fact that, that path or where you were going.
Well, the way that we've been approaching it is hey, look, right, I know some stuff about marketing, but I'm mostly a sales guy. So if you'd like to kind of talk about what's going on in your business, I can either let you know it's a marketing problem or it's a sales problem. So who wants to hop on and have one of those calls, right? And I get nice interaction off of those. And so when we get in there, it's very purposely looking for either a sales issue or a marketing issue, depending upon how they choose to want to fix that problem. And I can't help with the marketing. So there's no pressure on them to dodge me or be not honest with me, because it's not I'm trying to catch all. And so that way I can be oh, I can fix that problem. It's let's figure out for you how you really want to build your business, because you can be sales heavy, right? Which is good for some people. And then some people want to be marketing heavy, and there's pluses and minuses of that. And so when I'm on my calls, we're purposefully looking for where the problem is. And I'm doing all the probing and questioning and discovery that, you have to do to have really good conversations. And they're leading me to that path. Well, no, I feel really confident when I'm on the phone. Okay, well, how do you know? Well, because of this and this and this and this and this. Okay, do you want to keep having those calls? Yeah. Okay, awesome. So what's the real problem? Well, I need more people calling me. Okay, that's a marketing problem.
Okay.
Al's rolling his eyes, and Clint looks like he wants to argue with me.
No. Well, you just told exactly. I think you're jumping to conclusions here. I'm digesting what you just said, and it makes sense. I know you, well, right? Yeah. And Nan brought up the different dynamic referencing you and your daughter, and the we've seen you in action at dinner and the way you work through situations, which is, I guess, a good indicator of how in tune you can be with somebody who is, connected to you, but has their own agenda, or you have to incorporate that agenda to get to the goal line, like we spoke about. So I guess I question what prevents you from being your best self in these sales encounters. And if you think you are your best self, fair enough, right?
Yeah, I think for a very long time I was trying to be some other version of this, but like I really feel like, because I think that you said it right there, right? When I have to figure out a problem is arguably when I'm at my best thought processes, right? So as opposed to coming in and seeing if there's something that I can sell to you, right, or if there's a reason for us to work together, which kind of feels like we're pitted against each other, like depending upon your point of view, it's like, hey, let me find out with you if you have a sales problem or a marketing problem. Now I got to ask you some really hard questions to do that, and I can't help you with the marketing thing. I might can make some introductions, but if it's a sales problem, we can talk about it and see if I can help you out. Right. And I feel really authentic having that conversation because I'm helping them like get clarity about something in their business. And that allows me to kind of play this role that I feel strong at, which is, the guy with the answers. Right. And I can be open and honest because I've already framed the outcome. There's only two options, right? You either have a marketing problem or you have a sales problem. And so the minute where they can give me the no honestly and cleanly, whenever we come to the mutual decision that it's a marketing problem. Right? Because essentially I'm doing the same thing as like what we're classically taught, in the book. Hey, like at the end of the conversation, we'll leave it at a yes or a no. Does that sound fair? So I'm just kind of like modifying the frame around, look, people come talk to me for two things. And of the two things, the other big thing, whenever they don't need one of my two things, is that it's a marketing issue. So I'm really good at spotting where the marketing issues are and if you have one or not. Would you like to have a conversation? And it's already framed in a way that there's either yes, and we're going to keep talking because it's a sales problem, or you have a marketing issue and I can't help you with that. And I'm just now seeing that for the frame that it like really, really is whenever I kind of like do it from like a framing perspective, right? Binary decision at the end of this thing, yes or no, right?
Well, no, and I like the fact that you're getting down to a binary decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is ultimately where I think we all need to take our sales conversations. It's yes or no. And from there, what's this process of working together and, making this into you pay me and I provide a service, or, a symbiotic relationship where you build the project, or Nan gets the neurosurgeon to, say, hey, I'd love you guys to handle this particular product in our office going forward. Mm-hmm. But how you get there needs to have a whole lot of the real you in that equation,
mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely. And
because,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was done.
Well, I was going to say that, like, trying to do it all the other ways that I've done it, right? I've always had a little bit of that kind of like, the guy riding on the shoulder, trying to drive, the machine, as opposed to just being like effortlessly in it. And part of that is my C-ness of needing to turn it into a process so that way I can check the boxes. But part of it is also just I'm not wired for people, right? And, the more time that I like spend like kind of doing this work and the journaling and the reading and stuff like this, it's like, oh, like this is just such a blind spot. I can tell myself that I can go be people-centric, but compared to like Al, who does it effortlessly, like there's a level that I don't think is ever going to be there for me, which is not inherently a bad thing, because when I can turn it into a game, I can then win at it.
But John, I've been in social situations where you're bringing this guy, this introduction, that introduction. I mean, it is really good, right?
Yeah, it's all so calculated though.
Is it?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Well, then I think you need to get up drinking every day, right, and just let the day flow.
because okay, so Al is speaking very specifically to a couple of events that we have put on as part of this nonprofit group and this networking board, right? And so Al came to the first one and he sponsored a bay. So what happens after that is, cool, I want Al to come back next year, right? Because we always struggle filling these bays. So let me make sure that I can like hit a home run for Al. Let me go find some people for him to talk to. And that gives me a mission, right? And socially, when I have a mission, I'm good, right? That's the nugget.
Okay, so right. So how can that not be every day that you wake up, you have this mission to be socially engaging with your prospects and people who have problems that you can solve?
That's
So
more.
that would make me, there would be nothing that makes me happier than to wake up and solve everybody's problem for
Yeah.
a profit all day long.
Well,
Right.
that's why I'm currently building this thing that I'm building, right? Is because like I just want people to practice, right? And so, from the martial arts thing, from training, Clint, you know this, and Nanette has heard so much of it. It's just like overflow is like if you're constantly going through it and you're intentful about it, you're going to get really, really good at it. So I know this to be true. So I'm giving like these kind of blocks of like office hours, right? So you can have this kind of sales manager person in your pocket, right? So you can come in there, we'll role play something, we'll strategize about something or anything else like this. In addition to that, you get free role play groups, right? And so I'm giving these people the thing that they want, right? Someone that they can come ask questions to, and I'm giving them the thing that I know that they need. And then it's just a matter of time until the trust sinks in.
Dude, I got it for you. Leather.
What?
Well, you said role playing and this.
Come
I'm
on.
like,
Yeah.
leather, man. You show up wearing like one of those chaps and like a vest,
Yeah.
nothing underneath it. Dude, I think you got to win. That's a winner. That's a winner.
The little necklace that just says like, something.
Something aggressive. Yeah. Exactly.
Something aggressive. It just says Clint.
You're wearing a choker that says Clint, right? It's like it's got a leather strap on the back and you tie it.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
And then, just make sure the handle is,
I will say that if I was going to wear another man's name on my neck, it would be his because I respect the hell out of the guy.
Whoa. Clint just did this.
Yeah. Clint just got uncomfortable.
No, I think he got real comfortable. I think he like bowed up, man. He was like the rooster showing up.
I mean, who else would you put on your neck?
I can see Nan's on the Home Shopping Network looking for a Clint necklace right now.
No,
she's like, that makes sense.
She's got it on her lower back.
Oh, wow. Do tell. I love that one.
Oh, all right. Let's get back to stories and stories and selling and my own unique weirdness as I'm finding out new stuff. But yeah, I'm not wired to want to go find that person on an ongoing thing just mentally, right? Like, so what I'm doing is in my framing around these calls is like, hey, let me help you find the answer, right? And what that does is it allows me to come out and be the guy who wants to give them the answer anyway, without any threat to like, hey, does this then lead to like money and revenue? So I've been positioning it of like, look, you've got a sales problem or a marketing problem. That's the majority of problems in small business. I can help you figure out what it is, and if it's a sales thing, I can probably help.
I like it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, and I think that, if we keep our processes or our conversations, simpler, right?
Mm-hmm.
If something's got to get complicated, the complication come from the prospect, not from you.
That's
right.
Right. I will say the other day I hopped on a call and I was doing my framing and totally skipped the whole time element. And before we got done, she was like, "Oh, dang, I've got another appointment." And I was like, should have framed around time. Should have got that commitment.
Nah.
Well, here's something. I don't know if Nan and we got into discussion or I've started doing some journaling. So some of this just comes out of the fact I was writing on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I think trust and forgiveness are two key components. And what I mean by that, you got to trust yourself and you got to be forgiving of your own mistakes. Once you've run them through the process of analysis of where did I go wrong? What could I have done better? Move on, right? You did,
Well, yeah, but the way that you move on is you improve the next rep, right? I mean,
or you don't, and you do the next step until you do get the improvement you're looking for.
Exactly, right? And so my whole weirdo mission, right, is to be as optimally configured as possible, right? And so what happens is I didn't frame around time, and so I didn't manage the time very, very well because I thought that we had 45 and she had to go with 30. And so like I was just kind of like hitting the stride of, the role play, no leather. And she's like, "Oh, damn, I got to go." And I'm like, shit, like I didn't get to finish the role play, so we didn't get to have the conversation about what I do. And now it's back to, hey, well, why don't you just send some stuff over? That's the issue, right? You lose the
How much does that
It would have went
bug
there
you?
either way.
Oh, come on, Clint. Really?
It would have went there either way. They weren't interested at the end of it. That's to me. It happens to me all the time. It's like people will agree with you because they're S's and they're I's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they really want to help you. There's a lot of population out there that more so than the latter,
Mm-hmm.
right? That want to be a part of you and want to help you out, and they will agree. And it's just it's horseshit at the end of the day, right? So, hey, do you have an hour to this phone call? And if we get to the end, will you make an agreement? And they're going to say yes because they're afraid, they're scared to death to say no.
Well,
as a buyer,
okay.
even though.
Well, hold on though, right? Because we spend a lot of time talking about being authentic, right? So of course none of this stuff works if you're just using it as like a tactic or like a gimmick or something like that. I mean, you have to have the best intentions that you can.
But Clint's talking about the prospect, right?
Yes.
That it was horseshit on their side, that they bailed and that they couldn't rearrange their schedule or push something. Meaning, if somebody's putting an abrupt stop, usually they're telling you ahead of time and not surprising you with it. So I think the reality of what Clint's trying to get to is this just might have been a blown call to begin with.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me back up. I can agree that she probably was not going to buy, right? Like I can admit that, but let's also agree that I'm not in the best position possible to get the full no at the end of this thing, because
I think you got the no, dude.
You got the no.
Maybe it wasn't N-O, but it's not a very big word. So
no, that's true.
I think you got both letters on that.
Because here's the deal. If let's just say that was an hour ago or a week ago, has she reached back out? And if the answer is no, that's your answer. If she was truly interested and truly needed it, she'd already reached back out. I would if I needed something. Hey man, haven't heard back from you. What's going on? Can we finish that phone call?
And if you didn't do in 30 minutes what you were trying to do in 45 or an hour, because I mean, it's not like you had a 3-second conversation. Hey, it's not a good time to take this call, but you went down that pathway far enough. And I mean, and we've all faced it. We've gotten the no's before. And, you probably need to be thankful that you didn't have to waste another 30 minutes of your time. That, she did it for you, right? Checked out of the situation. So, yeah, you should be a thank you. Wow, man, I got 30 minutes of my day that I didn't waste on your ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, too.
But hold on, though. Hold on.
She chose.
Right? Because this is important. At the end of it, she goes, I want to continue the conversation. Right?
Of course she said that.
Of course she does, right? And so then, the critical side of me is like, oh yeah, sure you do, right? But then the other side of me is like, well, maybe she does, right? And so how do you suss that out other than front loading the conversation with like, hey, at the end of this thing, can we figure out if this is really worth talking about? Because it might not be, and you might end this call telling me you want to continue when you really don't. Can we just be honest with each other?
Could you have said that when immediately after she made that statement that she needed to?
I didn't get time. Did not get time. So.
Well, okay. So Nan and I face this. Nan can speak to this. She probably is so much better at this than I am. You present lunch for an office. You're going to do some business. You're going to talk to the doctor. Well, you're waiting for them to finish up patients, and you're trying to time everything. And I mean, you are it. Well, and you've been there, John. It's this whole timing thing. And that doctor comes in, gets a plate of food. You're seeing him over there at the buffet line, spreads out. Man, he's getting towards the end. You're trying to figure your approach, and he walks out another door, and you never fucking see him again, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Nan gets up and follows him and finds him in his office and says, oh, hey, yeah, we came by. I'm so fuming mad at that point. It's done, man. He's just blown me out of the water.
No, I'm glad Al said that, because as you were telling your story, John, I was thinking of someone that approached me today trying to sell me something, and I cut them off before they went any further pretty quickly. And I said, I really appreciate that your efforts in trying to talk to me about this product. But I told them, 1 second little spiel of it's not going to happen. And before I could even say thank you again and goodbye, they slammed the phone down. Okay. So I was like, I don't care if you call me, you've burned a bridge. So what Al said, I don't care what goes on. If someone cancels on you, says no to you, whatever, leave good terms, because you could be burning a bridge that you could potentially need to cross another time in the future. So be really careful with that, Al. Burning bridges is like...
I didn't say that I did anything. I sat there with a smile on my happy ass, going, hey, ladies, eat up, or gentlemen, the decision maker's way over there, so we might as well have a party with the food
But
that
I
I
do
brought
think
for everybody.
what you said also, John, I think it's really, you're not going to blow up on them and go, you've got to freaking be kidding me. Like, I've done this, you're not going to do that. But you're going to say, okay, I understand. But you know this better than the rest of us. You try to engage with them again. When can I call you back? When can I see?
But I have a question. Do you not then do the negative reverse? Hey, a lot of times when people say they have to go, they're really trying to be polite.
Yeah.
They really just are having a hard time. Okay. Well, how could you not? If you saw it coming, wouldn't...
No, I didn't see it coming. She goes, hey, real quick, John, I forgot to tell you. Right? I've got another meeting and I got to go right now. And I was
well, John, I appreciate you telling me that, and I know you got to go, but usually, when
That's
I hear
fair,
that,
right?
it's a polite way. Yeah, all you got to do is immediately go to the test of, are they blowing me off and will they own it? And if they do, then we probably got to, I feel better about that, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and, to be sure, I had that moment of being blindsided by, like, being irritated that I didn't qualify around time earlier.
So, okay, but that was your issue, not hers, right?
No, for sure.
So if she
absolutely.
brings it to you, your issue probably got in your way. Oh, shit, time. Instead of, hey, John, a lot of times, I appreciate you telling me, but a lot of times when people say that, they're just being polite and it's a no. Is that where we're going with this? And if you said back to me, no, I really want to hear more about that. All right, before you go, what time should we meet again?
Basically, you're telling a story by asking it, and in that story, you're asking a question.
But you're also getting, and if they won't make that commitment, then they need to own the, now that you say that, it probably isn't something that I want to proceed with. Thanks, John. I do appreciate that kind of honesty. I hope that our paths cross again, and if there's anything I can ever do for you, please don't hesitate. You got my number. Give me a shout.
Yeah.
Right? Clint?
Have you ever noticed how you assume what someone's thinking?
Oh,
and
yeah.
You talk to them, you engage further, they're like, what? I didn't even think that. So, you do have to be careful with assuming what someone is doing, thinking.
Sorry, Dan. Sorry. I cut you off. The way that I've been handling that is, like, I let them kind of off the call, and then we follow up in DMs, because that's where it started anyway, right? And that's where I'm getting some of the really good, like, hey, you said this, but I hear that a lot. Is this really something that you're working on right now? Well, no, not actually. Okay, then you said you wanted to chat again. Do you still? Well, yeah. What do you want to talk about? So it's still, it's a work in progress, because, you lose the immediacy of the emotion when there's text involved, right? On both sides, right? So you can't control the text. You can't control how they read it, right? Or, the tone and the inflection. But also you lose the immediacy of it, because they can read it and respond to it later on.
Yeah, I mean, I see the value of communicating and opening up conversations the way you're doing it, right? I mean, I've been kind of following along with some of the progression that you've had going on with, social media and and because you've seen a few of my comments, I mean, they're usually quirky, but they're meant to be that way, right?
Yeah, and I appreciate it.
So, I find the value. I mean, I see where, that little bit of texting, that a little bit of involvement to kind of open up the situation for getting into a conversation a little bit quicker, having, you've already got some information, gleaned from that. But now you're getting to, being able to feel the emotion or the impact in their voice to the things that you say. Yeah. And hopefully working down to what's the problem and what, is this a fit for a fix, right?
Yeah, my KPI right now is trying to have 5 decision maker chats a week, right? And I'm calling a chat a Zoom chat. And so what that means is that I'm trying to have 5 decision maker conversations a day, because one of those, because like what happens is they kind of like starts and stops and fits, right? Because people get busy and everybody's too connected to everything. So part of this is just trying to adjust to kind of having like 24, or not really 24 hour, but what seems like 24 hour availability to people, right? Because everyone's so connected to their phones. So throughout the day, I'm trying to have 5 chats with like, oh, hey, cool. I'd like to hear more about that and tell you what I do. Can we hop on a call, right? With the goal being 5 decision maker conversations, like Zoom chats per week, because that gets me to the revenue goals that I have on the trajectory I'm currently at.
So help me understand, what kind of businesses or people, I mean, are you looking for C-level suites? Are you looking for top sales executives, sales managers? I mean, define who your general audience is.
The people that I'm going after are very, very small agencies. So marketing agencies.
What's an agent? What's an agency? What are you referring to when you say that?
So really this term's gotten a little muddy, right? But essentially freelancers, right, who have figured out the digital marketing thing, so that way they can do whatever they do for clients, whether it's copywriting or, video creation. There's so many silos in the digital like marketing realm. And so all these people are really good at what they do, but none of them want to sell. So I work with them to help them build out a process that makes sense for them. And then we have them do it until it's repeatable. And then I go find someone to do it for them, because we've got the repeatability in the process. So that's kind of my main target.
So if I heard you correctly, then you go out, you speak to these people in the, the marketing, digital marketing, areas, and then you help them build a sales process so that they can then go hire and train people to sell for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or,
just connect.
Yeah. Or you can hire me to do it for you. Right. So,
okay.
So there's like the initial kind of like sales blueprint with the tech and the process and everything else like this. And then I make them do it until the numbers are dialed in. So that way they can like actually be like, no, I've done this way with these numbers. I know that this works. Let's figure out the soft spots and coach up from there. And so they've got that credibility. And then, I help along the way about like, okay, what are you struggling with? Where's the process breaking down? All those things.
And who are these people generally? Who are their clients?
I mean, small business owners, right? They're typically, I've got clients that do like $500 a month social media packages. And then I've got clients that do, $9,000 marketing retainers and paid ads and, branding initiatives and all like the whole gambit. So.
And what do you find is their biggest, I mean, is there one general theme to the problems they're having in the sales arena?
Well, yeah, there's this constant pressure of, do I work for the clients and take care of them, or do I go sell and prospect? Because, these people live in this kind of boom bust situation, right? There's a lot of work, so too much work for you to prospect and sell. And so then your work dries up, and then it's like, oh, damn, I got to go prospect and sell. But, so they're constantly fluctuating between these two extremes. And so what I'm saying is, cool, let's build you out a process so that way we stabilize that for yourself first, right? So also showing them that, they can do both things well when there is structure and process in place. And then, cool, now we can find someone else. And as long as they're hitting these activity counts and KPIs and things like this, they're going to continue with the same trajectory. So I'm giving these people a way to manage salespeople forever, as long as they continue down that path, or I will help you work with them to make sure that they're performing at the levels that you were able to perform at.
So then you sort of step in as a sales manager to another crew that they bring on board once the process has been put in place?
Can be, right? So it's kind of modular. I don't have to, but if you want me to, because some of these people don't want to manage people's numbers, right? That's totally fine. I'm really good at that. Let me do it, And so we have that conversation at the end once we have found, if we just do the blueprint, then it's a pretty quick turnaround because we just document everything. We build out the CRM. We figure out everything that needs to hook up, and Bob's your uncle. But if you want me to go find you a closer, then we build you an ad. We figure out the commission structure. We do all these things. So that way, when I go out to the closer communities that I'm part of and familiar with, I can put together an ad, bring some people in. We do assessments on them, and then I make a recommendation about who you should hire and stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah. Deeper understanding of what you're doing these days, because I know, we're all kind of making these sort of adjustments to,
for sure, yeah.
who, with the new normal and who are clients, and I've shifted gears on my side of the fence, and I'm sure Clint and I know Nan. I mean, we're in constant discussions about what our next step is and where we're going.
So, I mean, I still do all the other same stuff, right? I mean, if you have CRM questions, I'll just come in and you can pay me hourly, and I will figure out your CRM questions or the right points to track, or, all of that stuff as well. But what I'm finding is that this helps two communities that I'm really passionate about, because I love the small business community, right? And if you can figure out the digital marketing thing, then, from a lead gen side, then it's just printing cookies, right? Or, insert your favorite metaphor there. But once you can get it to that point with the digital marketing, then let's figure out the number on the sales side, and then let's just get someone in there to do it as well as you can, because that should be the thing, right? And that helps all these salespeople I know who have been laid off and don't really know what to want to go do. And, it's kind of hard to sell cars or real estate, for some people, depending upon how seriously you take this and what the market looks like. So there's a lot of people who are moving over to being home-based closers and home-based salespeople. So I get to help these two communities at once. One of the things I'm doing this quarter is building a course that shows you how to do all of this stuff, right? From the business structure and the tax, into how to go out and find good people to work for, how to sell well, here are the things to be looking for, and here's how to build a process and everything else like that. So that way I can help other people make that transition.
I like it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you. I'm excited about it. I feel like every time we chat offline, I'm kind of in a rapid burst of cool, I gotta go, because it's I'm working a lot, but it's stuff that I'm really passionate about. It's not just all drudgery and dismay over here. So it's pretty.
Are you seeing, another question, not to interrupt, are you seeing a reasonable level of monetization of this? I mean, are you seeing a clear path to what the value is and what the cost should be to the consumer?
Well, the thing about it is nobody wants to be a salesperson, right? I spend a lot of time thinking about this, but a lot of these people just really want to do the things that they're really good at, right? And on a certain level, I get that, right? I mean, it's really easy for me to swing to that side of it, because I am a C. I'm not wired to go out and find people to go talk to. So so these people are a lot like me. They're really good at what they do, and they just want to do what they do. Okay, awesome. I'm asking you to do this for a little bit, so that way we can figure out kind of how to actually get your business to where you want it to go. And then I will get someone else to do it for you. And people love this idea, right? And then we talk about how they're going to get their lead gen in place. And, that's why I know so many marketers, because it's cool, how do you want to build your business? Well, this way. Okay, awesome. This is the guy to go talk to for that. And then you can come talk to me. But you need strong, you got to have strong lead gen in place if you're ever going to replace yourself, because no one is going to go hunt and kill as hungrily as you are, unless you give them a big enough slice of this thing. And most of these people who are closers and working from home are 1099, right? So that's why I want to cover the tax stuff and the business formation stuff with them, because also it lends itself some legitimacy to this skill that we all see a ton of value in, that a lot of people treat as a second class skill, right? Oh, well, you're in sales because you couldn't find a good job. It's no, I'm in sales because I enjoy it, but a lot of people don't view it that way. So, man, I feel like I have monopolized the entire length of this episode, and I'm wildly uncomfortable about it. Clint is just
are you
drinking beer.
speaking to Clint?
Yeah, I mean, Clint is just down there drinking, I think, non-alcoholic beer still.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on this, buddy?
On what?
The stuff I'm talking about. The people don't want to be salespeople, and I'm trying to help them out of that.
Stay out of it.
Okay, I have a question for Clint, because you're, the big roop-de-doo VP of sales and, the corporate icon of the group. Your sales staff, how big traditionally is it in a I know you work for a big company and it's got segments in different areas. I mean, talk a little bit about your salespeople and, how it works in your industry when you start talking about sales and the people who do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the industry. There's so many different levels of what people can and can't do. You can have one guy that, success to him is $5 million a year, and then you get another guy that might be $100 million a year. So it's really capacity of the person, and then you got to figure that into your equation of how do you reward the guy that does 100 equally to the guy that does the 5. So there's a little bit of a math problem there of just capacity. And even at the project manager level in construction, you got guys that can run a $2,000 job really well, but they can't run a 20 million. And you get guys that can run $1 billion projects but can't run a $2,000 project. So it's spread around everywhere, but I will say the average is probably, you're looking for most people in construction to do like 10 million a year in sales. So if you're a $30 million company, you'd want to probably have 2 guys and hope that 6 to 7 of that business is coming in naturally just because you have a brick and mortar.
Okay, then my question is the sales component versus the guy who's doing the work. Does your sales guy overlap into the production side, or does he step away and it becomes a whole nother group and another issue? Yeah, or does he stand by the project through the end of the construction as part of the solution on, issues that may come up? I mean, what's his involvement after the signing of the contract?
I mean, it's all over the board, Doc, because I've performed both in both scenarios. I've worked in companies that expect the opposites end of the spectrum, where you literally go find it, you hunt it, you skin it, you kill it, you eat it, all that good stuff, and then you're there to clean up the dishes afterwards as well. And then there's some that just, I need you to go out and find prospects to bring back to the door. We'll handle it from there. Mm-hmm. And I'm the way we operate it, at least at my company, is kind of a right in between. That is, I need you to go out and find the right prospects. I need you to find the right projects for us to bid that fit our group. Not wish list stuff, right? This is, let's get our base of business with the core group of customers that we want, doing stuff in the right industry that we want. And once we have that fulfilled, then you go searching, right, for vertical market growth.
Question. So when you say you go find that, who determines what that right candidate or what that right project looks like? Is that your job, or is that a group of people to decide, here's what the sales guys should be looking for?
Yeah, ultimately, it's if you're in a good company, I think it's a group decision, right? You're all sitting around a round table discussions, figuring out what the hell we're good at, we perform at, and you're going off past resumes and experience, who you got on the team, who's available, like all that stuff plays in. Ultimately, in my company, that falls in my lap right now, is to figure out what that vertical market growth is and why we're choosing that. And I got to back that data up, to say, hey, I don't know why you're chasing multifamily student housing when all we've ever done is lose money at it. We get a lot of sales, but we lose a lot of revenue, right? And so why are we in that? Should we completely dump it? Well, you can't dump it because you got to have revenue to pay bills. So it's not an on-off switch. It might take you a 5-year plan, and you got to start putting that in play. And it's a commitment from everybody involved, right? You can't just flip the switch and say, okay, now we're going to do industrial work today, when yesterday you were building houses for a living, right? Because you're starting over. You're a new startup company at that point. So there's a ton of strategy involved, and if there's not, you're failing in my mind, because I think you really got to put some thought into what you're doing. It sounds, from what I've heard over the last 10, 15 minutes, John, you put a lot of thought into why and what you're doing with your business. You're trying to find a section of a market that maybe doesn't even exist, and you're creating it, right? And that's pretty bold and pretty cool. And me, I like to be a part of shit like that, so I commend you on that. But there's a lot of people out there that just take what everybody said in the past and run with it. I've worked with salespeople in the past that, I do this because that guy over there did it before me. It's like, Come on, man, you got to pioneer your way a little bit, right?
I got another question for you, Clint. Have you guys reevaluated the market you're in since COVID and some of the changes? I mean,
Sure.
Are y'all saying kind of where you stand in this whole construction arena? And if so, are you guys looking at making any changes to adapt to the new normal?
Yeah, so I will tell you that I pay pretty close attention to where, for example, right, I live in Houston. Our market is Houston primarily. When you see a project come out that's city of Houston, new school building or whatever, the chances of the city of Houston, or any city for that matter, actually having the available funds to make that a real project in this environment of COVID, they're probably not going to be investing hundreds of millions of dollars into a new project right now, right? So that's something that a year ago would have looked really attractive, because we do work with them, but that's not the case today, right? I'm chasing a pipe dream that might drag me out for 2 years, rebidding and bidding until the funds are there, versus looking at a manufacturing plant that is in the exact opposite effect of, because of COVID, they are producing twice as much product because people are buying more. That's the market I want to be in right now, right? Because that's a today fix. And and I would say this probably for most, is I'm trying to keep my head above water, and I will do whatever it takes to do that. And if it takes me switching and training and learning and figuring out any way to do that in a different market, damn right we're going to do it that way.
But when does the time concept for the projects, because Nan and I and other people that I work around, we throw around kind of the same things, because we wake up to this new normal every day in healthcare. But sometimes, I have to also analyze what's that time look like. And so I mean, sometimes these projects, it takes too long to shift those gears, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, and that's a really good point, is when is that going to happen? So for example, financially, where we used to look at revenue on the year, sales on the year, backlog, all that stuff, we're more focused on the book and burn of today, where it's go get me something because I have lights I got to keep on, right? It's down. Everybody's down, right? So I got to go find what's going to bring food on and put it on the table today, not in 2021 and 22 like we would have done 3 or 4 months ago.
That's where I was going with how long can you survive a change? Because going into a change, if you can't turn the dollar quick enough to put the money in the bank, you've shot yourself in the foot because of the time constraint, right?
So right now I have a great backlog for 2021. It's a record backlog. It's a backlog that we've never dealt. We've been close, but this is something that's truly amazing that we even have the backlog. But that doesn't do jack shit if I can't get there and survive this to do that work in 2021.
And how do you know? How do you know that 2021 that work's going to be there?
Well, you don't. I mean, you have commitments, right? We've sold work. We have commitments, or let's say we signed a contract, they broke ground, but now they're on hold, and now the job's postponed for another 7 months. I see that all over Texas right now. You see gas stations that were a dirt pile in February, and then all of a sudden they laid the concrete, and now they're just a concrete pad sitting out there with equipment sitting there that's bought and paid for, but you don't have the money to invest into the actual project because you just can't. So that
Right.
project will probably happen, maybe,
Mhm.
or somebody will come in and buy that person out and finish the project because that's a smart investment for somebody down the road. But that may not happen in this year, 2021. It might happen 2025. The good news is you can kind of put it on your bankroll for a little
Okay.
while.
Question. And
Answer.
I think Al is thinking the same way that I am, and I'm curious if this is true. Couldn't it just be said that this historic backlog is just like kind of what's normal for the industry, and the reason why you guys are struggling right now is because they didn't have you on the team and your method of selling, so a gap was going to naturally appear, and COVID just made it bigger?
Yeah, I absolutely predicted that with everybody involved on our team, is that we were going to have I started in October, and my very first day that I started, we had the conversations of everything that we're struggled through from here till probably June of 2020. This was last year, is not going to be because of what we're doing in October to then. It's going to be everything that happened in the past 6 months to a year, right?
Mhm.
And I can't help you change that. I can only make it better, right? And everything that naturally flows in is going to be a bonus. So we set some upfront rules of, with me personally and professionally, was I need a year. I need a solid year before you can make any determination about how we're performing, right? You're going to see metrics along the way, and you're going to see growth. If you're not seeing growth in the first 3-4 months, it's probably a pretty good indicator, but it's not a total fact yet. So we absolutely did predict that, and having that downside, but nowhere near to the level of COVID-19 stopping the market, right, in the economy. We didn't. You couldn't have foreseen that, but
the thing is whenever we chat about the role and what's going on and stuff like this, I always get the impression, and maybe this is just me and head trash, that it's not going very smoothly, that you haven't had much success. But like hearing that story that you just talked about, like I think that your success is abundantly clear, right?
Yeah, well, John, you got to understand that. Well, one, me and my personality, probably mainly just the way that I am geared, I'm never going to tell you it's fucking perfect, dude. I love this. This is just going smooth, because in my mind, if everything's going just like we planned it, I'm making a new plan to make it better. And so therefore I'm back. I'm always at ground zero, me personally. My team, on the other hand, as long as they're killing it, right, and they're moving forward with the plan that was in place, hey, the company is going to survive. I'm here to make it better, right? So I'm never going to give you a thumbs high and say, yep, we're soaring high. So
on that note, guys, we're at 52 minutes. So let's wrap this 2-episode series up, talking about stories. Let's go around just real quick, starting with Clint, talking to Dees, about using stories. What do you got, just real quick?
Yeah, D's are pretty natural storytellers, much to the essence the I's are, except for one is about themselves a little more, right? And we'll probably get a chuckle there, but you're really good at telling stories about yourself, and you got to gear that the other way. And you don't have to fake it. I'm not trying to ask you to, sit there and be this fake person that you don't want to be. But when you tell a story, make sure it's something that they're going to be interested on the other side. Right? Don't just tell it because you think you're on this pedestal and everybody looks up from the ground level to you. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case, right? You're as equal as anybody on this planet. And when you tell that story, you need to make sure that their body language is invested. When they ask you a question about it, it's not them trying to be nice. It's truly investment. And I think you need to tell the stories that also get something in return, a story in return from them, especially if you're talking to an I and you're digging for information, you're going to tell a story. And so that when they tell their story back to you, you're getting information in your sales process. So, just warn you, shift it from I and shift it to them.
Awesome. Al, as an I?
Clint kind of hit on a little bit of it, but I don't go in to a sales conversation or a situation looking to tell a story, because I know it's going to happen automatically. It's just my nature, right? So you don't have to force it, so don't even try. But what you have to hold back on is when, like Clint said, they begin to tell you their story, don't tell them a better one. Go with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Annette, what do you got?
So the two things that I'm thinking are engagement and listen. So your story should be engaging, but you also need to listen to their response.
Yeah.
Listening is huge.
That's fair. For me,
John?
Yeah, for me as C's, like, don't use them with an agenda. Like use them whenever they make sense and they're authentic, right? And there's always another level of not using the technique for the sake of it being a technique, right? Like put that technique down and just use it as effortlessly as possible and try to approach it from that angle, which is not what we do normally as C's, right? Like we love to collect these techniques and all this stuff. So try to put all that stuff down once you have the reps, and just make sure that you're being as authentic and humanly driven as possible, even though it's annoying and slower than you want to go and all that stuff. So that's the thing, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's a nugget right there. Yeah. God damn, this is going slow, right?
And that's why I'm working very specifically in this industry that I am, of this kind of like hybrid of, cool, let's just get people to raise their hands so that way we can put farmers right into roles and have them crush, right? Is kind of the thing I'm trying to build, right? And from the sales side, I've got it down. I just got to find like the marketing side of it, so that way I don't really want to be the guy who's trying to do both of these things as like a business in a box deal. But having partners who are really, really solid marketers at delivering the right kinds of results for their clients, and then I can help them figure out how to have the right kinds of conversations, and then Bob's your uncle. So yeah, it's all about making your mark, I guess, right? And getting in where you fit in. So
yeah,
awesome.
I like it.
Awesome. All right, everybody. So if you've been listening, thank you so much. This is a little bit longer than the episodes we've been doing recently, but it felt right to go long. So if you know someone else in sales, please share this with them. If you've not taken the assessment yet and you want to, please reach out to us, disc@salesthrowdown.com. Yeah, shoot us an email. We read every one of them. Leave us a review, please, because that's what really kind of makes this whole thing go. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Thank you.